It's system review time, and today we have got the retro game, it says. 16GB, 3000 in one. Interesting there, because it says on here, where glasses, 4GB, yeah. But that doesn't really matter. We have an instruction manual. It has instructions. I haven't read them. We have the unit itself. We'll have a look at that in a moment. We have some plastic. We have a USB, mini USB for charging and data transfer, apparently. And we have a AV lead. And then in the case itself, this plastic bag thing, that we have this. This might look familiar because I've seen it going by a few names, Cool Baby RS-97 and Revo K101. That might not be exactly the same because it appears to have different firmware. But I think they're probably largely based on the same hardware. Not completely sure, don't know. But yes, this thing just seems to be called Retro Game 3000 in one, whatever. I don't know if that's part of the name or just being descriptive. You can see the battery there, which is cool. I believe that's a Nokia type. Anyway, what is this? It's a handheld emulation games console, basically. The thing about this, you'll be familiar with other systems that I've reviewed, and they seem to be, you've either got your expensive things like your GPD XD Plus and various JXD type Android based emulation handhelds, which tend to be expensive, like 100 to 150, approaching £200 sometimes. They're very effective, but that's a lot of money. And then you've got your cheap tat, shall we say, all the way down, you know, to Famiclone type things like the one I showed recently in the GBA style case, and things that are a little bit more, I can't even remember, what was it called, A4027 something or other, PSP shaped thing that played several systems, all of them really quite badly. And they're in the like £10 to £30 range and kind of rubbish. This falls pretty much between the two. I paid as near as damn it £40 for this, and I want to say a great big thank you to all of my Patreon supporters, because it was down to your support that I was able to buy this for review purposes. So yes, it price-wise falls in between the two. How does it do performance-wise, and well, what can I tell you about it in general? Interestingly, let's just turn it off again for a moment. You can put games on it, your own games that you obviously own the ROMs for. You come out, you bugger. Okay, now that's not coming out. Okay, I managed to take it out. There's a story behind that we'll come to. My Game Boy Advance style cartridge is what you stick your micro SD card into, and you can put your ROMs onto the micro SD card, plug it into this, and then plug this in here. Like that. I don't know why they don't just put a micro SD card straight into the main body. I have no idea why they would have it go into this separate cartridge, because this cartridge doesn't work on anything else. You can't plug it into a Game Boy Advance and use it. like an EverDrive, and you can't plug Game Boy Advance cartridges into this. And I've put fingerprints all over the screen whilst trying to get the cartridge out. Why did I have trouble doing that? There was a screw slightly not in correctly, where I've had to take this thing apart. And why did I have to take it apart? That comes down to data transfer. This thing, you're supposed to be able to transfer ROMs directly onto the onboard memory. Plug it in via USB to your PC and treat it like remote storage, the way you do on a lot of handhelds with micro SD card type storage, that sort of thing. But I plugged it in, and well, I couldn't gain access to it from my PC. I tried various button combinations that I'd seen used, and in the end it bugged out. It crashed. I got a blank screen and it wouldn't turn off. And the only way I could make it turn off was quite literally to take the battery out, and I had a bit of trouble getting that out. And basically I took the whole back off and that involved taking a few screws out, and I've not put that screw back in quite right, and so I couldn't get this out. So having heard all of that, you might reasonably think, well, that's a piece of junk. No, it really isn't. It's actually quite good. I'm going to turn it back on now. You can see it boot up. There's a treat for you. So while we're waiting for that, what have we got on it control wise? Start and select. X, Y, A and B buttons. You've got a single speaker there, which, as you will hear in a little while, is pretty weak. D-pad is okay. It's a whole lot better than that super spongy abomination that was on that GBA style thing recently. Games, we'll have a look at that in a minute. You can have music on here. We've got some we've got a couple of MP3s there as examples. I won't play them just in case they're copyright. Obviously the Chinese don't care about that, but I do. Pictures. Yeah, okay then. Books. You've got a load of ebook readers. Really, you're not going to read ebooks on this thing. It's a bit small. File Manager. You can't do a whole lot in terms of managing files. You can launch games, or you can delete the files, and that, as far as I can tell, is pretty much all you can do. And then you've got a load of settings and stuff. Nothing remotely complex going on there. TV out mode, that is probably the only thing you're likely to use on here, because you can plug it into your telly. If you watched my what was I playing, Gyrus video yesterday and then saw the talky bit afterwards, you'll have seen me playing talking in front of dinosaurs and Cadillacs. Well, that was playing via this. I had this plugged into me telly with that game in attract mode. But anyway, so what do we have on here in terms of systems that it is emulating? Can you see? There's a lot of reflection there. Sorry about that. CPS, I believe that is CPS 1 and 2, but I'm not sure about that. Neo Geo, GBA, Super Famicom, SNES. Mega Drive, Famicom, NES, Game Boy Color, Sega Master System, Game Gear, Game Boy, and then back to the top. It's peculiar actually. Some work well and some don't. And actually, I've only really come across one system that doesn't work well. So let's have a look at the CPS. This, yeah. Cadillacs and dinosaurs. I need to turn the light out in here. Bear with me a moment. Whoops. Trying to get a good viewing angle here. Okay. Like on MAME, you press select to put coins in. So it's arcade emulation going on here. Start button. It runs really nicely. I suck at it. I've never played this in the arcades. Go, go, go. Okay, we'll go. Can you hear the sound? It's not great, it's tinny. It's also, you can put your thumb right over the speaker, I won't say unintentionally. It's not, it can fall under the ball of your thumb. It's not ideal, but it's alright. But yes, it's playing CPS, is it CPS? Whatever. Games quite adequately, and you push the start and select to come to this screen, and you've got continue game settings, buttons to set, so you can remap your buttons, instant archive. I believe that's like a save state. I haven't actually used it. Reset, just to reset the game, and quit, which we'll do. So yeah, CPS, Neo Geo, that works really nicely. We'll have a quick look. Metal Slug, because why not? Sound on there is a bit ropey. I don't know how well the camera is picking up the colours and brightness and whatnot of the screen, because the screen on the camera sometimes looks a bit too bright, or it might be too bright. But to the naked eye, this screen is actually lovely. It's not a particularly high resolution screen, I don't think, but it works perfectly well for the games that are on it. And Metal Slug looks great. There is, oh bollocks, there is probably some screen tearing going on, but because the screen is so small, you don't really notice it. If you plugged it into the telly, you almost certainly would notice it, but I want to talk about that in a little bit. GBA, that play... Oh, press the right button, Steve. Nah, I didn't want to do that. I've put in a game without actually wanting to... There we go. Right, Super Mario... no, Kart. That's what we want. Yeah, the sound on this is a bit... Actually, is a lot not quite right. Graphically, it's fine. It's like some of the audio channels, they've got the mixing levels wrong. So it's kind of a little bit freaky. Yeah, and that's a bit distorted. But it plays fine. I do find the shoulder buttons hard to reach. They're, yeah, the form factor of this thing makes them, if your thumb's on the D-pad and your other thumb's on the face buttons, reaching the shoulder buttons is really awkward. So, I don't remember what... Oh god, that sounds kind of horrible. So, they've got the mixing wrong, I think. Or so, something's not right, it just doesn't sound right at all, but it looks okay, and I would rather have the graphics look alright than say have a bad frame rate but great sound. Okay, we'll stop that. So if I was going to play Super Mario Kart, I would still play that one because we have the SNES on here. But let's have a look at Super Mario Kart on that. God, my thumbprint's all over this. Here we go. Come on, focus, camera, please. Yeah. Can you see already? You'll see in a moment. Frame rate much? That is poor. That frame rate is really no better than that really cheap £25 white PSP lookalike thing, A2047 or whatever it was called. Yeah, that's poor. And sadly, anything that's using Super FX or Super FX2, actually I'm not sure about Super FX2. I had a go at Yoshi's Island, and the thing is, because I've never played it before, I don't know. Well, let's have a look and you can decide for yourself if I can work out which. Okay, there we go. I went sailing past it. It calls this Super Mario Advance 3 Yoshi's Island. What? Yeah, okay. They have certainly mislabeled some of the ROMs on this, but whatever. So, we're just going to have a look at this, and you can tell me, is the frame rate okay on this? My feeling is probably not. Come on, get on with it. Don't care. Do not care. Let's just be getting on with it, please. I'm not fussed about playing the game. I just want to demonstrate the frame rate. Yeah, okay. Please shut up. I've never actually played this game. Oops. Yeah, okay. Come here, you little brat. And I lost him. Oh. Try again. Yes, okay. That's not really helping in terms of demonstrating the frame rate. Shut up. Right. Don't know what that does. So, okay, now you can see how well or otherwise it's performing. Is this, how is this? Is this okay? Is this, you see, I would play this. I don't know if the frame rate is how it should be, but it seems you could, if you weren't sitting there thinking, oh my god, that is so choppy, which I wouldn't be because I've never played it, then I would say it's probably playable. But is it accurate? Couldn't tell you. That's how it does on the Super FX2, on that particular game anyway. I haven't even, I don't think Star Wing is on here. I don't think there's any 3D stuff. Basically stuff with mode 7. What's the other one? F-Zero. Don't even go there. That's just not happening. I had a go. It was poor. But other stuff, your bog standard Super Mario World and anything 2D, stuff like that, it's fine. I worry now that it's going to make a liar of me. We'll have a look at one and see how it does. Come on, get on with it. I've never played this. I don't know anything about it. We're just okay. Kirby always makes me think of Jigglypuff in what do you call it? Pokemon. I don't know what's going on. Oh, that doesn't look particularly great either. Frame rate wise, that's not. No, that's appalling. Yeah. Okay. That's not good. I have played some that were okay. That obviously is not one of them. Alright, we'll just bang out of SNES. Really then, Super Nintendo, very hit and miss. Some stuff is playable, some is not. Mega Drive, yeah. Mega Drive works just fine, or at least on the games that I've played on it. Sounds fine. You got none of your at-games nasty channels playing in the wrong key nonsense. I'm just letting this run in a track mode. And that looks fine. And it plays fine. I've sat and played it and it's just plain lovely. So that's good. I also played Hard Driving and that played fine as well. Famicom, Game Boy Color, Sega Master System, Game Gear. Actually, I played a game on here yesterday on the Game Boy, which you would expect to be absolutely bloody amazing. And what was I was playing Double Dragon. And come on. I love the sound. I really love the sound. That just sounds like a Game Boy. And something about the sound on this game, or the music on this game, and pure nostalgia. I love it. But the thing about this, and are we going to see it here? No. I've got to duff these. There, when you walk right, does that happen on the proper hardware, or is that just really crappy emulation? I dislike that part. Look at that. It's whatever's on the far left of the screen appears on the far right for a moment as you move. That is not what it's meant to do, I'm sure. Okay, we'll just quit out of that. So, yeah, emulators on here are not perfect by any means. But they're largely playable, apart from the SNES, which is like very hit and miss. And the fact that it plays Neo Geo just great, and CPS just great, and Mega Drive just great, it's like, yeah, a 40 quid handheld. It beats the crap out of some of the really cheap ones I've got. It's obviously not going to compare with an Android-based emulation system, but then they cost like up to 4 times as much. So I actually think it's pretty good. But wait. I've got to show you another downside, unfortunately. Bear with me. Okay, here we are in with it on the telly, basically. I've just put it into PAL mode through the settings. Now, it looks nice displayed on the telly. Or at least not terrible. It's, you know, it's not, you haven't got an HDMI input, so there's no high res fanciness, but you know, it's perfectly functional. However, while the what's it, CPS emulator looks alright on here, I've gone on to the wrong one. Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive emulator, I had a go at this yesterday. And while it looks lovely on the handheld screen, on the telly, I do not like that. Do not like. The frame rate is now quite choppy. I mean, you can see it just from the way that writing comes in. That is not right. I would say you've got a frame skip of 1 or 2 going on there. You know, it's not catastrophic. You could play it, but it's not as smooth as when it's just on the handheld screen. It's like it's using, and I suppose it makes sense, it's using CPU cycles to run the display for the telly output. And that's meaning they're having to add some frame skip onto the emulator, and it looks like this. And the image itself, while it's clear and everything, it's hard to put my finger on it, but I don't like it. The actual image quality, it doesn't look like it would look on an actual Mega Drive. And there's some tearing going on there, minor, but you can see it if you look for it. Yeah, it's on the telly, it just ain't right, and I would not play this like this. Maybe someone who's never played Sonic before on original hardware wouldn't notice, wouldn't care. To me, no, that's not great at all. But I play it on the handheld, on the small screen, and love it. So it's kind of a pity, but okay. So emulators are a bit shonky in places, a little bit. Some are good, some are not so good. That doesn't do anything apparently. I guess it's meant to be for like Game Boy Link Up, but it doesn't. Yeah, and that is light, backlight brightness. That also doesn't seem to do anything. You can certainly set the backlight brightness through the settings menu, but I've not found that actually does anything at all. What else can I tell you about this? The battery life is not great actually. I do wonder if I've got a duff battery in this, because while it takes maybe 2.5 hours to charge, it will possibly deplete just as quickly. I haven't sat and played it from fully charged to fully depleted in one sitting to time how long it lasts, but doing it in like little bursts here and there whilst testing it basically and getting to know it, I don't think you would get more than... You can probably get 3 hours out of it. I don't know if you would get 4, and it doesn't seem to make a difference which emulators you're running on it. It drains quite quickly, and that surprised me. It might just be that I've got a duff battery. I'm tempted to buy a new one and put it in there and see how well it lasts, but certainly out of the box, not a great battery. An odd thing I found, I'm nitpicking here, and it's all making it sound like I don't like it, but we'll come to that. This thing, it came with this on it, stuck to the screen, just there. So you think, pull that off and you've got a screen protector. Yeah? No. If there's a screen protector on this, it's stuck on so well, it's never going to come off, and I have tried. But this did leave a strange imprint on the screen itself, which I have seen on other review models. Retro Core did a review of this, and he also had a little imprint up there on his screen. Strange. I don't know why they would put on a little label to pull off the screen protector when there isn't a screen protector. Very odd. Yeah, so there's that. Now, having said that the emulators on here are a mixed bag, and they are, I do know it's possible to flash this with some custom firmware. It runs, I believe it's called OpenDingux. I think it's like a version of Linux for the Dingu or something like that, I guess. I do wonder if this is like a development of the Dingu thing that was around a few years ago. Don't know. But there are RetroCore and RetroRob both have videos on installing that particular operating system, and I guess emulators and stuff on here, and apparently it runs a lot better with the emulators you can get for that operating system. I'm probably going to look into that, maybe. God, those fingerprints. So, overall then, You would think that I don't like this because I'm sounding quite negative while I talk about it, and I'm aware of that, and it's actually not the impression I want to give. There are absolutely a lot of things wrong with this. Battery life sucks, the emulators are not universally great. There's certainly, I've had difficulties with it in terms of trying to put ROMs on it onto the internal storage, or actually no, just to get my computer, my PC, to talk to it, recognize it. You know, I locked it up and had to pull the battery out, and all the problems I had with that, and unscrewing it and everything. All of this pain in the arse. But I actually like it. Shock horror, I know. Does it make sense? Well, there's the thing. I like the size of it. I like that some of the stuff it does really well. I like the fact that it sits very nicely between the expensive Android systems that do everything really quite well and your cheap TAT that's really only fit for the bin. I would not feel nervous carrying this around in my jacket pocket while I'm out and about and just want a quick play of something, you know, if I'm sitting in the dentist waiting room or something like that. Where I wouldn't want to carry an Android device around because, well, the GPDXD being my handheld emulation device of choice, it's a good bit bigger, a good bit heavier, and a good bit more expensive, and I would be scared of dropping it or whatever, getting mugged, what, you know. No, this, I would have no qualms about carting this around in my pocket, and, you know, if I dropped it, got it nicked, whatever, I wouldn't care too much. The fact that it is upgradable is cool. Also, and this is, I think this will matter to some people a lot. I've had a lot of people, when I've reviewed Android-based emulation devices, the number of times I'm asked, how do you get the emulators onto it? How do you get the ROMs onto it? Because Android is not everyone's bag, and not everyone knows how to do that stuff. And it is largely quite easy. Maybe setting up some of the emulators is a pain, but this, it is pre-set up, and more than that, it's got the ROMs on it already. It says 3000 in one. I actually think that could be true. There's 700 Famicom. Is it the Famicom or the Mega Drive? There's a lot of ROMs on here, and that saves an awful lot of messing about, looking for ROMs, trying to decide what's good, what's not. On the downside, they haven't been organised in alphabetical order. They've got numbers added to them, so you'll go through a bunch of them in alphabetical order, and then you'll get another bunch also in alphabetical order. So you've got them grouped in no logical manner that I can discern. Which does make finding games an absolute pain in the arse, especially when you've got like 700 in a particular list and they're not in alphabetical order. That is stupid, and there is no way of organising it unless you could get access to those ROMs by hooking it up to your PC. I've got to try harder and try and work out how to do that, because so far I haven't managed. But all of that aside, I do like it, having all of those ROMs, having it be at a sensible-ish kind of price. £40, I mean, there are various different places selling them. I got this off of eBay. I've seen it between £40 and I think some places it's approaching £60. There's also a Pro version of it that looks pretty much the same but is white, which I guess has more features or more advanced emulation or more something. I don't know what. But yeah, for the size, it's pretty rugged. I think it would take quite a beating. And just the sheer, it's all there, it's already set up. If you don't want to mess around installing stuff, it's good to go. I think it's pretty decent. I think the price is fair enough. You have to accept some compromises, but I think it's I like it, really. It's very far from perfect, but if you're able to accept far from perfect, on something that will play games as a portable, and a viable portable that you're not going to care if you drop it, it does the job. Okay, I'm going to stop waffling now because I am waffling. Again, a great big thank you to my Patreon supporters, without whom I could not have bought this and would not have been able to bring this very rambling review to you. So thank you, and thank you for watching.
It says here Benway offers his thanks to those who subscribe to his Patreon account thing. Is that what he needs?